morning, and I wore it until I got home at night, because it put so much money in my pocket that others were not getting in theirs. You see, Century 21 was the one who started Career Apparel. They're the ones who started franchising real estate. And for those of you who are old enough to remember, Century 21 agents wore the most hideous color of, quote, gold, unquote, that you've ever seen in your life. They called it their gold jacket. It was mustard. It was horrible, because they got a whole bunch of the fabric on the cheap, and that's what they had to do when they started out. And now they had to use that fabric, and they put everybody in those jackets. Now, when I bought my franchise on the East Coast, believe it or not, they put me and my agents in a brown jacket. They were going to do brown on one side of the country and gold on the other. Well, very quickly, I told them I wasn't wearing the brown jacket when everybody else out there was wearing gold, and all of their advertisements, all of their, everything they were doing, including TV commercials, everything, showed people in gold jackets. And they realized their mistake, and they switched it out. I probably owned, or I think I've had it for years, one of the only Century 21 brown jackets, because they did away with it. I wanted to be in gold, because what happens when lots of people are wearing career apparel, lots of people get to know who you are. And
I didn't do that.
I wore it because people walked up to me and started conversations. They would walk up to me across the room and start a conversation about real estate. And I realized I would not have had that conversation, would not have even known that they had a real estate business, nor would they have known that I was in real estate had I not been wearing it. You know that Century 21 promoted that gold jacket for years. And Century 21 went on to become the largest real estate company in the world. At one time, when I was working for them, I think they had something like 12,000 offices worldwide. I mean, they're half the man they used to be. They have fallen so far. But if you look at the history of that company that started out privately owned, like Jim Wyford, it was Art Bartlett who owned it. But then he sold. He sold to Trans World Airlines, which no longer even exists. And they owned it until they went, until they sold out. Then it became owned by MetLife. I remember when the little Snoopy dog was the mascot.
I think it might be because it's
Became
too
owned
late.
by
It's
MetLife.
started.
Anyway, on down the line, it's had so many ownerships, and so many corporate conglomerates have gotten involved. And look at where the company is today. You know that one of the first things when it became a Wall Street, owned by a Wall Street conglomerate, the first thing they did away with was the gold jacket. You know why? Because the Wall Street three-piece suit guys thought it was tacky. And the rest is history. They then did away with the majority of their training. I was their training director. They started closing down all of the regional training centers. When you're trying to please Wall Street and your investors, this is what happens. So that's the story. But the main story I'm trying to get across about Century 21 is let's look at what worked. And the career apparel worked. So we have career apparel. To me, it is one of those cheap dates. I said I was going to tell you what to spend your money on and what not. One thing that I truly believe you should invest in is career apparel. You're going to have to invest in some career-type clothing anyway. So why not have it a walking advertisement for yourself? Do yourself double duty. You'll make back the money and pay for that career apparel on your first transaction and more. Name badge is another thing, and I've put those together, a career apparel and a name badge. Both of those should be worn every day. If you're unwilling to wear the career apparel, at least bare minimum name badge, but you're making a mistake. Your vehicle. Your vehicle needs to be an advertisement for yourself as well. And you're going to be judged by the vehicle that you drive. That's
It's like a
too
limo.
bad, but you will be. So do not go out and buy buy
Cart it
a
around
new
by
car
Lola.
today.
I'm gonna drive
I
it.
want you to use what you've got, but make it the best it can possibly be. Whatever it is, make sure it's clean, inside and out. People will forget and forgive a lot of things, and they don't forget and forgive dirt. Last night's French fry wrapper that your kid dropped on the floor, get it out of there. Listen, if I'm sounding uppity, let me tell you that I have this. If you walked out and looked at my car right now, you'd say, boy, is she a hypocrite. I live in my car. I love all my stuff with me in the car. I'm one of those people, yes, I wish I didn't do it, but I eat in my car. My car's always a mess, but you'll never see it that way. Because before I leave, after I talk with you today and I leave out of my garage, I will open every door, I will clear out all the mess, I will pile up the papers and put them in the back in a box I've got just for papers and paperwork. But all the trash and all the junk and all the stuff I picked up along the way will be out of that car before I leave the garage. Because I want to look like I'm neat and clean and organized in my car, even when I'm not. Now, people do look at what you drive. Just like when you go to pick a stockbroker or a financial planner, you do want to feel as if they are successful and making money. Why would you give them yours if they are not? So you'll look at how they're dressed. You'll look at where they live, what they are driving. People do this. So make what you've got the best you can until you're making money to buy a better real car for the real estate business. Neat and clean is going to go a long, long way. Listen, I had a kid's car when I got into real estate. I got into real estate straight out of high school. I had a kid's car. And I am a sports car enthusiast. I've never not owned a sports car. So the first car I could afford, and I worked all through high school. I worked at the drugstore after school until 10 o'clock at night and on weekends, and always took everybody's holiday hours. And I saved up enough money to buy a car. So I bought myself, and it was used at the time. I bought myself a Corvette Stingray.
Nice.
It seats 2 people. The car was in such bad shape that I had to stop every few miles and adjust the little thing under the hood and adjust the acceleration because it was like going, it was like running too fast. I had to adjust something. And there's no way I could take anybody out in this car. Not to mention that I could only take one person even if I did. So when I first got into real estate, I had a nice broker. He allowed me to borrow his car when I had buyers to take out. And that's the way I started in real estate. You have to start with what you've got, do the best you can with what you've got to work with. But as soon as you can, then of course you want to get a car that's more appropriate for the business, which means 4-door. It means 4-door. That's the most comfortable car for buyers who are riding around with you. Now, if you're just going to be a listing agent, that's fine. You can do it. You can have anything you want. But 4-door, if you're showing property, make it easy to get in and out of, where they don't have to climb way high and slide out. Make it a middle of the road looking car. In other words, you look like you're doing all right, but you don't look like you're so successful that maybe you wouldn't want their little deal. I've seen agents who are driving around in the most expensive luxury car there is. They're boxing themselves in. Now, if you want to box yourself into the luxury homes market, then that's fine. But if you want to open yourself up to all those $3,000 deals out there, those $3,000 commissions out there, then you need to have a car that says, I'm successful, I'm doing good, but I'm not doing so good that I wouldn't want to work with you. You can turn people off with too many jewels, too expensive of a car, and they'll feel like, hey, I'm not going to call her. She only works those really multi-million-dollar houses. If I say one thing in this class over and over, it's this. think it through. Think it through before you act. Now, here's something. Make sure your car has car signs on it. Without car signs, you're driving around and you're not promoting yourself. No one's going to pull up to you next to a stop sign and call you and say, hey, we just passed a new home development that they're putting in. What kind of houses is that going to be? And what's the price is going to be? We're looking for a new house. That's not going to happen to you without car signs. No one's going to walk over to you when you get out of your car and ask a real estate question that leads to a real estate customer. No one's going to talk to you over the gas pump. They're on one side pumping gas, you're on the other side pumping gas. No one's going to start a conversation with you with no car signs on your car. This is a very cheap date, so this is the second cheap date of the day. Car signs on your car. They cost about $65, I think, for a pair. Don't hold me to it, but close to that. And you can go onto our approved suppliers. Several of them, I think, offer car signs. The one that I know about is called Brown and Bigelow. Brown and Bigelow, an approved supplier who offers the car sign. That's such a cheap date. Would you rather put an ad in the paper for $65? And that's what, if I run just a classified ad in the Mobile Register, it's $60 a day. Would I rather do that, or would I rather do what I have done in my estate sale business now, which is the same thing I did in my real estate business? I have car signs on my car. Last year, I remember two people who approached me when my car was parked, and I was getting into it, and approached me about doing an estate sale. Now, I only got one of those estate sales. All you need is one of those listings, and there's $3,000. Or for some of you, $6,000. And if you sell your own listing, it can be more than that. And some of you make a higher split. It can be more than that, but it's always going to be $3,000 in this class. So after the class today, figure up your actuality and substitute. Car signs, cheap dates, get them on there. Now here's some of our cars that have car signs. We talked about cleanliness. Now here is the car sign I'm talking about. It's up here on the left-hand corner. You see that car has just the typical little car sign. That's what you get for the $65. Now, these others have what we call overlays. And overlays are, something like it looks like cellophane, and you lay it on the car. So they're not painted on there, is what I'm saying. They're going to be more expensive, though. So just the basic car sign's fine, unless you decide to get this other stuff. Now, I know that some of these pictures of these cars are not the car I described. They're not the two-door comfortable car. I can tell you that I'm not going with you in that Mini Cooper. I'm not. I'm not going out with you if I'm new in town and I need to be looking day after day for a home because I'm new to your area and I'm going to be in your car for many, many hours. I'm not picking you as my realtor. I'm sorry. Now, take that honest answer from me and move it into all of the people out there. Can you afford to lose people? Can you afford to lose me? I don't think so. If you knew how many houses I've bought and sold over the years. Like something like 16 in the last 20 years where I live right now. You would have 16 transactions working with me, but I want to be comfortable. So I'm not saying that these are the cars I would pick for you to have, but I'm saying those are the overlays and the advertising I want on your car. Now don't get offended if you have a PT Cruiser. There will be people who go with you, but it won't be Tony Bruder. And it won't be a lot of people like me, and it won't be a lot of people who are baby boomers, because because they're the ones who are gonna have a hard time getting in and out of cars that are not two-door.
Well, she started with the
one
maid.
back
She
seat.
did.
Then she went
When you go to buy a car, I don't
like
want you
any
to
of
drive it.
them.
I want you to ride it in the back. That's what I want you to do when you go to pick the car that you eventually have for your business. The baby boomer generation, by the way, is going to make up the biggest bulk of your business right now and for many years to come. They are the ones who are moving. They are the ones whose parents are moving into assisted living. They've got to sell those houses, that house. Then they're going to move down from their big 2-3-story house into a one-level home that they're going to do. They're going to make up a big amount of your business these days. I would say that they make up 90% of my estate sale business, and they're going to make up the real estate agents who get those listings, going to make up a huge amount. So think about that when you choose your car. The other thing I want you to think about is smoking odors. If you're a smoker, you need to get the smoke out of your car. It's as simple as that. Get it out and keep it out. And there is a way to do it because rental car places do it all the time. Ask them or ask Heloise or ask Martha Stewart. But there are ways to get smoking odors out of your car. And then once they're out, smoke outside of the car. Because there are many, many people who object to smoking odors. They won't even go into restaurants if they're smoking, you know. They won't rent a hotel room where there's been smoking. So they're not going to ride around with you all week long looking for a home with smoke odors. They won't tell you that that's the reason that they're dropping you, but you'll hear things like this. You know, we really enjoyed looking at houses with you today, and I know we didn't find anything. And I know we said we're going to come back tomorrow, but something has come up, and we're going to have to call you when we're ready to look again. We're going to kind of put things on hold a bit. 2 days later, you see him driving around with the Caldwell Banker agent who doesn't smoke. And that's what's going to happen to you. And especially in the South, where we're so nice that we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So we'll lie about it to keep from hurting your feelings. Now, maybe there's some areas where they'll tell you point blank the reason, but it won't be in the South. But we get out of it all the same. We find ways. You know, I'm an asthmatic, and you may have already picked up on the fact that I've cut you off a couple of times. You might hear a little click, and I'm gone, and then I'm back. Sometimes I get a little asthmatic, especially when I'm talking a lot or certain times of the year, or certain chemicals, or certainly if there were smoking odors. I can't go with you. I cannot. I cannot go in your car. I don't care if we're going to the moon in your car. I can't go. So that's something to think about as well. Doesn't mean you can't smoke. Just smoke outside your car. All right, technology tools. You need them, and you need to know how to use them because the public is smart, and they're getting smarter by the minute. Everybody knows how to do everything, and they all have an app for that. And so we need the technology tools as well. We need to know how to use them. There's a few of you who are older in this class, and I know that because you told me how many years you've been in real estate. I don't mean that you're older by age, but you're older by being in real estate. And I hope you're keeping up because we're seeing a lot of people who are going ahead and leaving the business because they can't keep up. This is an aging industry. And so there are people who simply leave because they can't keep up with the technology. That's sad because there's also those who still are in it because they have kept up. So ask your grandchildren, ask your children, but figure it out because young people aren't going to work with an older person who doesn't know how to do the thing, to find the information that they can find. And I know that because I have a niece who bought a house from an agent that I referred her to, and he was an older gentleman. And when she went to sell that house, she asked me to find her another agent. She felt like he was too behind the times. And my own son, who just bought a